happened to hip hop? It got caught in the crossfire of a drive-by and died. Translated, open your heart and speak it with your third eye. What happened to hip hop? Brother, sister, daughter, son got infatuated with the power of a gun. Too afraid to knuckle up and go toe to toe. Yeah, now it's who's quicker with a fofo. No more beat street unless you get free. Those sprees, blade, 100 stacks means you was beat by the streets. No more love, peace and laceless sneaks. Every other bar, hollow points.
We are live and direct here on YouTube. We are trying to, we're going through a little technical difficulties with our Facebook Live presentation. We are live on the Black here on 40th and 6th Avenue. We have a complete studio that was blacked out with theater and performance art objectives, and we turn it into a studio for today's event. We have tools, you can bring your own, you can share in local community, but you can also enjoy this information on your phone. Something with hair mostly is bringing it down, he's breaking and compartmentalizing and helping to piece build this complete understanding of gentrification, of economic development. We have talked about the Emotion Karmu and how the Emotion Karmu plays its role in the economics over that time. Because again, we talked about the 5 time periods. We're still in the green period of the civil rights movement, moving into the yellow of the future for our generations, for our young people. But Emotion Carnival is coming up next this Sunday here at the Black Box. We're going to have food and celebration. It's mostly a feast of history. This is oriented towards our young children. It's going to be held in the afternoon from 1 o'clock till 2 or 3, because of course we're going to be feasting. And then there will be another event that will take place for Emotion Carnival in the afternoon. But at this point, I'm opening up a community and using this Black Box as a site location to introduce our circle of connection. And so bring your children, bring your family members, and enjoy our Sunday event for Emotion Karmu. Emotion Karmu was invented by Dr. Edward Sims. He was a minister who wanted to make a bridge or connection to teach African American history, which was a miseducation in 1971. There was a lot of transition and movement that was going on in the year of 1971. It's a pinnacle year. But the idea of creating a celebration or a holiday time to get together and understand our ancient history. So we have 5 time periods. The empire, or the life that we had, the pre-colonial life that we shared as royalty, as gods, as people who were empowered to live their destiny in their communities. Understanding that was a known construct, in that people had their specialties, like an artist guild or craftsman's guild, where people would marry, the cow families who had the leather would marry the brass smelters, and they would make belt buckles, and they would intertwine their craft skills to create products that they could use for trade. There was Mansa Musa. There were a vast empire, and just the knowledge that gold was depreciated intentionally, removed or stored, like the Queen of England has her store shed of gold that was dug up in Africa, and that it depreciates or controls the value of gold. Gold becomes more priceless if you're hoarding it in another location. And diamonds were done the same way. They were depreciated intentionally so that the value would go up and they could market the diamonds, because there's a proliferal area. So that the wealth, the talent, the knowledge, the skill sets were in the mother land of Africa, and people came to the Americas pre before Christopher Columbus, before what we hear as the migratory people that came across the land bridge to the Americas. We we were present in the Americas. So back to Ken Mosley, and we're here at the Art of Economic Development, East meets West of Truth.
Let's get that new feed share out to everybody, because I'm not on the YouTube.
Okay, I'll try to do it on my other phone.
Yeah, let's make that happen so we can get as many of our people there. Shout out Carter Lucas was out there, Brother Shelley Williams was out there. So we want to try to get them back as we get into this information. So here we go. What I'm going to talk about next, and the last step, is when you do coalition building. You don't always get like enough a chance to know about people. You don't always get a chance to read all the books and so forth. You don't always get a chance to research people's history. Go on a vacation to go to their land and see what it's like. But fortunately, I've been able to do all that. A lot of the science behind anthropology, the science of engineering allows me to jump right into those studies and those materials and those records and look at them firsthand. And I've done my own firsthand work. I've been to Mexico City for weeks at a time. I've been to England and Scotland in the Navy during my tours on the submarine. So I've got a chance to tell when I tell you about some things, a lot of it is coming from my own personal experiences and actually being there and being in a capacity where I was part of the protection of the islands in Holylock, Scotland. So I'm bringing that to you. One of the potentials that's heard all the time is, hey, how can black people who made their way here in society, how can they work with other coalitions of brown people, and so that we can actually get an understanding? First thing you got to realize is that you can't compartmentalize brown people. They don't all have the same amount of affection for different things. So what I thought I would do, again, like we said earlier, we know we had a presence in Mexico as African people. We know we had a presence in Central America and the South America as African people. So I'm speaking from. I'm going to use the actual languages that the records are in, and I'm going to work to use my training and my experiences and the work I've done to try to bridge the gap so we can start looking for those 7 goals here in the city. Just for Umoja Karamu, what we did is we broke up periods into 5 pieces. I'm following along that same line, and I worked on this a bit. So remember, this is in my activism. There were times some of us would develop. We were flown out to Washington D.C. We had to consume a whole bunch of material, and then we had to go out there and protest or lobby or walk the halls or whatever it is that was needed. And so what I did is, just like I do when I go on these trips, is I consumed so much information last night about Mexico City and the Paseo de la Reforma that I was able to break it down into basically these 5 areas, okay? And Mexico, the land south of Texas, all the way down to what we call Central America, Panama, Guatemala, all of those countries. And then Mexico, right in that middle, has a history of people coming in, invading, encroaching, taking land, and then leaving the people to clean the mess up, leaving them to reform things, leaving them to redo their constitution in such a way that those different groups that were left there are able to work together. So let me go ahead and give you the 5 times. The first one is Spain, 1825. No. First one was Spain, and 1825 marks when they were able to declare their independence from Spain. In 1850, Teddy and the Rough Riders went down there, and it's recorded in the great song "From the Halls of Montezuma to the Shores of Tripoli," and the transferring of Texas, Arizona, New Mexico, California from Mexican land to American land. Next, we have France coming in 1862, and that's Cinco de Mayo. It's when the repelling of the French on the first day was able to happen. The Reforma. The Reforma is a reform movement of basically liberal Protestants that were concerned about the influence of, once again, the Catholic Church in the affairs of the citizens of Mexico.
Okay. Again, we've had that discussion in that the indigenous population were already conquered by this time. And so this is like a revamp. This is like another insurgency. There was already the acculturation and
18th and back in the 1500s,
of the local population.
for 200-300 years, Spain ruled Mexico. So I marked the time that they were able to declare their independence from Spain in 1825.
But it still left a mark, right? These people, all I'm getting at is there are people who claim to be Mexican, who do not speak Spanish, who do not practice anything that has to do with the conqueror.
Let's go through the 5 periods so you know exactly which time period I'm talking about. Okay? When the conquistadors pulled up, that's their date. Whatever date they said they arrived there, but when the Mexican people who call themselves Mexicans, organized and declared independence from Spain. Like I said, the anthropology tells you who was there. Okay? You don't have to, as an anthropologist, you don't argue with people who not sitting at the table, who won't do the work. It's useless to try to take a collection of people who are not anthropologists and enter what they say into the records on who they are with no study and no work. I'm not trying to do that. Like I say, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do my first-hand research. I'm going to take anthropological studies. I'm a scientist. Okay? So whatever people say, great. I'm going to walk them right down this path at this discussion of these 5 periods. So the first period is when the Mexicans declared their independence from Spain, opened them up to Americas, coming in and taking all that land, okay, in 1850. And then France came back, and they don't call this, it was an incursion. They're very clear that France wasn't even supposed to be there. You know, they were co-collecting that with Spain and England, and Napoleon III dipped down there and just with his troops. They tried to send some troops. Their troops didn't make it. France made it in, and the man, they got repelled because they were so cocky. They were so cocky. The next piece is the reformer movement. Like again, they repelled them on the 5th of May. But then they realized it's a little bit more serious. They came back. They were able to go in. All the Mexican leaders went up into the hills in the north. Okay, hills in the north, regrouped, and they were able to organize to come back down, run Napoleon's army out, and you think, right, that guy's gone. But, you know, the last one we have is Austria. There was an emperor assigned, and they call it the Second Empire of Mexico. There was an emperor appointed by Napoleon who was the direct descendant of the Austrian Empire, Maximilian. He came over on this 5th step, and when Napoleon left, he refused to leave. He said, "This is the Austrian. I'll just stay here. I don't need. I'm the emperor.
I'm the new guy."
Right. So now we get off into looking at what did the city look like, because whenever we talk about Paseo de Reforma, we're coming in on the tail end of 4 other invasions and taking of land of these people. And the last one is where this guy is there, and he says, well, you know what? Sure, this city was laid out according to a pyramid and aligned perfectly, just as the great pyramids in in Africa and Central America, and just like they're all aligned perfectly with the sun and the moon and the stars and the procession of it, just like they're perfectly aligned. I'm gonna build a road right down the middle of this city, a divided highway controlled by my police, so that the only people that can get on there is somebody with my operator's license. Can you imagine the nerve of this guy? And he displaced everybody. He just drove it straight.
Just like they did in 71 Highway.
So, just like they did in 71 Highway, but he drove it at a diagonal across this great nation with all their pride and all their traditions of the people who were there and the pyramids they built and all of that. He's got a diagonally going straight across the city. And what he did was he got many of the artists from France because he had invaded. The Mexicans didn't just have a great love for European art. They were invaded. There was an incursion. They don't even call it being conquered. They said there was a incursion, and they came in and they didn't have bulldozers back then, but I'm sure you know where they got the workers from, right? Okay, and they built a divided highway straight from, I think it's northeast down to southwest, but it's at a diagonal. Going from City Hall, they took over a castle, and in order to get to their castle up on the hill, they built a divided highway straight through the city, displaced everybody, and creating a physical separation between two sides of this planned city. Now, and this is the fifth time that somebody carved them up. This is the fifth time. So his refusal to leave, he brought the artists in, he put the for sale there, and then boom, the people organized, and when they executed him, guess what they did? They changed the name of the street. So the street that we're named in Mexico was we called in emoji Carmel term the fifth incursion and splitting up of Mexico that occurred, and it was done by a emperor who was appointed and not chosen by the people, and he totally valued his values from Europe and totally overlooked and superseded the values of the local people who, like you said, happened in Kansas City, they were just there, and no interest no concern to Maximilian. So after they executed him, they changed. His original name was named after his consort, his cousin, and they call it the Paseo de la Empress. Since she was his wife now, she's the Empress. He's the emperor, she's the empress. He named a street that drove across the city after her. And the people having this kid, after he was executed and removed, they took that street and they began to put their own heroes' names and statues on the street. They didn't tear it back down. They said, well, we got it now. Now what we got to do is organize and be able to name our heroes on the street. And that's where you start seeing the development of all the holidays and the Mexican holidays, and they still have the Catholic holidays, the religious holidays they serve, and they still have the civic holidays. A lot of the holidays come from the 1913, when America tried to take over Mexico. They formed the military, they fought them off, and they were able to maintain the integrity of Mexico, the Mexican nation. But when they celebrate their Constitution Day, they're celebrating in 1917, when they were able to write down their Constitution and maintaining what the first attack, the separation of church and state, including some of the values of in the holidays of the Protestants and the Reform movement and the labor movement, that real strong labor movement on Cinco de Uno on Labor Day is when they celebrate that. So that's basically the chop up and the 5 periods of that time, and we're gonna have to learn this history before we can actually expect to have a coalition with somebody. Just like somebody needs to find out about emoji cards, find out what we've been going to, what's our perspective, so we can see if we have some natural alliances. If we got a hero named Martin Luther. Part of their community has a hero named Martin Luther. But part of it doesn't, so we got to see and understand not all communities are homogenous. Often we have balancing forces. We got to find that coalition that works for our community and our kings and our leaders who are going down, looking at us, see who's a natural mate for the things we want to do, because you'd be surprised who's definitely on your side when it comes to going up against certain people, and you'd be surprised, who's definitely not on your side. But if you don't know about their stories, you can't come into the city and start trying to run things on the larger scale. Because when you get to past the networking you do and working with people, and you get to those elders, you run up on some of the wrong elders. They, it's kind of hard. Consequences is kind of hard. They've had some rough things they've gone through, and you can't just run up on everybody. So that's pretty much it for Emoji Carmel. We got our own local narrative. You can use this video, or you could use this video to learn our own local narrative. We went over to Emoji Carmel. It's about time that we had our own Emoji Carmel that talks about our story. We got to find our story for why do we need to be united? And because if we don't have that why we need to be united, there's no reason for us to go out and start trying to build coalitions with other people. And so that's pretty much it. We got the Black National, the Carmel. We got our local narrative of how our community was treated on the east side. And now we looked at this one coalition with the Paseo, so we can kind of get that thing out there, and so that we can start finding those natural parties. Because naming the airport Martin Luther King, naming J.C. Nichols Martin Luther King. We might want to change Maya Boulevard to get his name off of there. These aren't people that we're valuing. We need to put our leaders, now that we've got our neighborhoods back, we need to put our leaders' names and so forth on there. And so how that coalition builds, who are natural partners, we don't need everybody to agree with us. But we got to do a little bit better than just picking out one thing and thinking we're going to run it through and have it stay.
Well, I want to thank everybody for participating, and please like and share, and even after this is going to be uploaded and recorded, you can still like and share. We're going to take it down and chop it up and put it in a nice order and post it up on YouTube as well. I want to encourage everybody, this is not, the Emotion Carnival is in the early afternoon, so people can actually participate in both events. It's not, I'm not trying to compete, but I was asked to move on or move away from the agenda of the new regime of the Black United Front. I did not. I kind of put up a fight, but with that being said, they found a strategy to ask me to not participate this year. But I've been doing this for a decade with when they had the school, the African Centered School, and then I'm continuing now, and I've outreached to Sister Sandra from the Unity Church or Unity Community to be a special guest here and also engage the greater part of the Kansas City community. I envision for Sunday to have a round circle discussion where our children can come and learn, and we have the storytelling, we have the sharing of this information and passing it down as a legacy to our children. Again, the Emotion Karamu means Unity Feast. It is a open session where people can bring your own food, your own dishes. We ask that you be sensitive and that there are people here, myself in particular, where I'm allergic. I actually have allergy or health challenges with pork products. So we're discouraging that. We're discouraging peas and carrots and almonds. And so just, if you bring your dish, please let us know what the contents are. But we have people who are allergic to, peanuts and things of that nature.
Just good labeling and being conscious of what allergens are, just in general with citizens.
Yes. So just the idea of please bring your recipes and bring your energy, bring your children to be a part of this outreach and connection. And we hope that every Sunday, because we have a movie night at 4 p.m. on that same Sunday, and every Sunday we have a metaphysical movie matinee, and I've changed it to that because the idea of accessing our super consciousness. Also, this afternoon, starting right now, we have a book study, and it's really a read-in literacy luncheon where we're talking about economic development directly. If you would like to have counseling on economic development, if you need help with writing a resume or setting up a small website or having your business cards or anything of that nature where you would like to have that open discussion, please come in, because we're here every Wednesday from 10 a.m. until 2 p.m. And so at this time, we'll be shutting down our live feed, but the doors will still be open and you will still be available to come in. And we would like to also encourage people in the future, if you have a small business, you would like to come and speak and let us interview you, and you can go on live and share your business. Please come by and give us a call, email us, and connect with us. Thank you again. This is EMWOT, East Meets West of Truth, the Green Grills Gathering, the Art of Economic Development, and we're supporting the Amanok Academy. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.
Thank you. And one last thing is that when we do our studying, after we get out of here, let's say defense, we're going to keep our PG rating so that it can be things that be used for educational purposes, so that it can be used for current events. But one of the really things that we have scaled back some of the content for some of the historical records. But at our book club, we're going to really get into it. We're going to have our internet there, our Google. Some folks rely on Wikipedia searches. But we're going to actually drill down. We're going to be able to drill down in some of the classical first-tier works, like who was Menez, and actually show you that is, what's an why is this guy on our Supreme Court, why are they telling everybody else about him, so So these are the things that if you don't know who your Supreme Court judges are studying and you come in and expect to get judgment, then it's going to be very difficult for you to understand that system. So this is EMWOT, Green Griot, sign it off.
Head tip.
Scratch, popped and locked and dropped bodies, shot by Def Jam and Silence Death. What happened to killing false headlines with rhymes? Badly buried by crime stoppers, leaving outlines around innocent minds. What happened to hip hop? Lyrics got rich quick, and promiscuous hips full of tricks, like a stripper for a tip. Message, how the hips listening quit snitching on the message. In the mess of ages, expression over Smith and Wesson. Oil slick, formula 3/5, now shop the CDs for identity. Cause at the end of the month, ends don't meet, which means no meat for the family. So dirty dealers, cut word, package, hurting cuss words. Keeping it real ghetto, the new hero. Stars, struck like lightning, living hard behind bars. Prophets, prophecy, blood stains like tar. In the grass and glass playground, things green as grass. Black males dressed in all black, wearing black clothes. Don't wanna touch February with a black fist. Green within me for the green behind the 8 ball. Black ball, knowledge of self, crash wealth on Black Monday. When the stock market, Marcus Black bleeding on the black top. Shot by a black man, shot by a black cop. In the projects, it's Black Ops / hip hop.
All right. That was excellent.
You want to stop this?
Yeah.
Some banks, it seems like they're going at the speed of